the topic on green transition, green innovation is so popular that we have done 3 presentations, including today's presentation, out of 4. And we did not arrange this on, doing it deliberately, but it just happens. So we have another topic today, which is on green transition or green innovation. So we had something like foreign directors' foreign experience with respect to green firm level. Last week we had, past experience of CEO on natural disasters, climate-related disasters, on CEO's decision regarding green. So today we are going to have another very interesting angle that can be linked to green innovation on the firm level as well. So I think I actually, this is the first time I heard this as well. It's like a firm actually adopts their founder's name, and then what will be the impact of this, using their founder's name as a new firm's name, and what will be, does this make a difference in terms of the green or green innovation? So I think today we are still there. I think it's all, no matter past CEO experience or using a founder's name, I think it's all about behavioral thing. So it's a psychological connection. So it's not like the traditional way of talking about firm behavior, and which is that very interesting. So I had a look at this abstract. So I have already thought about some issues. For example, in this case, what the channels will be, what the underlying theories to make the connection between those two. And then I think you will hear from today's presentation. And interestingly, we have Wei-Mo, Dr. Wei-Mo, who is actually visiting Center for Global Finance at the moment. So welcome, Wei. And we had already had some initial discussions on research, etc. And if you see the introduction, I think Wei is now associated with Guangxi University. Which college do you? So it is a College of Business.
School.
Oh, School of Economics. Yeah. So Wei is an assistant professor in finance in Guangxi University, which is to me is a good one. At least the natural, environment is very good. And interestingly, Wei has obtained her PhD from Birmingham. I understand from Professor Victor Murind. So and as you can imagine, her research area is mainly corporate finance and capital market issues. Also, I noticed that Wei has done quite a lot of work in terms of the cooperation, economic and finance cooperation between China and ASEAN countries, and which is, again, another very interesting area for us to pay attention to. And Wei has published in some well-known journals. For example, let me see. Yes, so Emerging Markets and Finance and Trade, Journal of Risk, and Asia Pacific Economy. So I also saw here, Wei has got some projects from the Chinese National Natural Science Foundation and also the Humanities and Social Sciences Fund. So let's talk about those projects more after the presentation offline. And I think you have co-authors, but your co-authors I'm not around today, I'm sure you will do the presentation even without their, presence. That's fine. So, Wei, when you are ready, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm very glad to be here because I'm visiting SOAS, University of London, the Global Finance Center here. I think I have this opportunity to present my paper. I think it's a good community channel for us because we need to communicate more to further have some further cooperations. Maybe if you are interested in my topic, we can have some co-authored papers, or we can have some research co-opted together. Because this is just one part of my project. Actually, my paper today, the title here, I just share the PowerPoint and I turn off the camera and share the PowerPoint. It's okay? Okay, yes. I just share with the PowerPoint here. So now you can see my PowerPoint here.
Yes,
My topic today is major shareholders' credible commitments and corporate green innovation evidence from Eponymy. Actually, it's only the first draft of my paper here, and this paper is only part of the work I have done for the project. This project is supported by the National Natural Science Foundation of China, which I just obtained this August, so it's very fresh. The whole title for the project is about eponymy actually, but we will discuss both the benefits, the cost, the motivation of eponymy. And this paper is related to one of the benefits of eponymy. In specific, the title here is the corporate green innovation. So if you are interested in this topic, maybe not in green innovation, maybe in the cost of the eponymy or other benefit, we can go further to talk about that, and we can develop more papers based on this topic. And so today I will go on to talk about this from 4 aspects. Firstly, I will talk about the research motivation, and then the research hypothesis. Next is the research design, which means the model, the data, and finally, I will talk about some interesting empirical results. So let's begin with the motivation. Why I'm interested in this topic? Firstly, just as Professor Bo said, that green or the global warming or climate issues are becoming increasingly prominent. At the same time, the global economic recovery after financial crisis 2008 and also after the COVID-19 pandemic is also urgently needed. So in that means the green innovation may be a way to solve these problems, because there's a famous paper in 2019 said that growth innovation is an important path for coordinated economic and environmental development. I think this is very this is well known in somebody who do green or environmental issues. There is a famous hypothesis called Porter hypothesis. It said that compared to non-innovative environmental investments, green innovations can overcompensate for both the compliance cost directly attributed to new regulations and the innovation cost, and therefore achieve profitability. So from the Porter hypothesis, we find that the green innovation can improve both environmental and economic results. So the question comes, how to promote firm green innovation? That is the question. I checked the studies. I found that most studies focus on macro level institutional aspects, such as environmental regulations and policy interventions. However, as the literature said, the legal system is not perfect. That means in any of the country, there is no complete legal system, especially in developing countries. In other words, we cannot include everything, every content in the contract. Or to write the contract costly, extremely high. On the other hand, the literature suggests that in some countries, especially in developing countries, the environmental cost is relatively low. So that means maybe for pollution cost, pollution fees is not very high. So for a firm, it's better to pollute and pay the fees rather than green innovation. So let's come to my questions. How can we deal with these problems? Can we find a macro level or firm level solution for these problems? How can we promote firm level green innovation? So that is from the green innovation part. On the other part is the commitment problem. This one is very interesting. Commitment. I think it's one of the important things in exchange. Due to the temporal variability of the environment and the incompleteness of contracts, individuals may be unable to credibly commit to refraining from certain self-interested actions in specific future scenarios. The commitment problem is the basic challenge to exchange over time and geographic space. As the North said in his paper, he claimed that the presence of institutions that facilitate credible commitment is the key to explaining the relative performance of economies. So in that way, I think that whether naming strategy can be an alternative to institution mechanism of generating credible commitment. Why I have this idea? Because that I have seen this words from the website. This is said from Akira Toyota, the Toyota's president. He said, "My name is on every car. You have my personal commitment that Toyota will work vigorously and unceasingly to restore the trust of our customers." So I'm thinking that whether this Toyota, the naming strategy, we call it eponymy, can be an alternative way to generating commitment, to generating credible commitment. Since credible commitment is so important in economy, especially in the exchange. So can the naming strategy provide us an easy way to distinguish who will be credible and who will be not? And from the theory, we find that generally speaking, there are two ways to generate credible commitment. From this way, institutional motivated. This is most used, and maybe it's relatively seen around the world. That means we can align commitments with incentive compatibility conditions through external constraints or pressures. This is done maybe by regulations, by rules. For example, we can sign a contract and to guarantee a good product. And finally, if you not provide a good product, you will need to pay a penalty fee. So that penalty fee can be used to generate the credible commitment. That is to be done on the institutional level. On the other level, we have another mechanism called self-motivated. What does self-motivate mean? That means that reputation matters. In this way, commitments made by the parties based on their own incentive comparability conditions can be self-enforcing instead of international forcing. So we have both kind of literature here to show the different ways to generate credible commitment. And here, we're talking about eponymy. Eponymy is just like what we said here belongs to self-motivated. So in this way, I mean that whether we can use eponymous or eponymy as an alternative to generate credible commitment for self-motivated. Firstly, what is eponymy? We define eponymy as firms being named after their owners. What's the logic of this one? The logic behind the eponymy is that using one's own reputation as collateral can establish a credible commitment mechanism towards all stakeholders of the enterprise. Why the reputation can be seen as an collateral? There are some literatures here, such as Tidy's 1999 and also Belzon in 2020. They found that a firm's name is very important. Firstly, it's very highly recognizable, and it will be a crucial intangible asset because it comprehensively reflects the core characteristics, market reputation, and past performance of the enterprise. So that means lots of things are included in a name. When you know a product, a company, and the name, you will know lots of information which included in it. So the name itself is a intangible asset. So just like other intangible asset, it can be used as collateral. Okay, so that is maybe some basics or some ideas behind the logic. But I give more examples for you. You will be more familiar with the eponymy. What does it mean? Worldwide, there are a lot of companies named after their major shareholders or owners or founders, including many well-known global firms. Give you some example. First one, JP Morgan. JP Morgan is very famous bank, and his founder's name is John Pierpont Morgan, an American banker. Next, Ford. Ford is a famous firm as well, and his founder is Henry Ford, an American automotive engineer and entrepreneur. Next is Goldman Sachs. The founder of it is Marcus Goldman, an American investment banker, and also some other countries as well, such as Gucci. The founder of Gucci is Guccio Gucci, an Italian designer, and also Toyota. The founder is Toyota. So lots of examples around the world. And in China, we have both this kind of examples, such as JD Group, Li Jinji, Li Ning, Li Xiang, and all the other examples among the others. So we find that lots of firms just naming it after the founder or its owner. But when we check, because you know that naming is very important, so some firms may find some naming consultant to suggest names for a firm, and we do this. We find that almost every business naming consultant does not recommend incorporating the owner's name into firm. Why? They said because it reflects a lack of creativity and fails to effectively communicate relevant business information to potential consumers. Additionally, it can create challenges when selling the business. So, on the one hand, there are some famous firms who using eponymy, this naming strategy. On the other hand, the naming consultant does not recommend to do so because so many cost. So the question is, why so many firms to eponymy? And any other benefits and any other costs? So next we list the motivation. So we got so many questions here because that naming is very important and it's interesting to explore, and maybe the commitment problems is an essential problems we need to solve in economic exchange nowadays, and whether naming can provide commitment, can provide credible commitment, and on the other hand, whether they can improve the green innovation. So that's the whole motivation of the topics here. And next, we will talk about the theory. Why we have this naming a strategy can generate commitment, can generate credible commitment. Okay, our theory is based on the paper in 2017 with Belozan in AER journal. In that journal, it's a theoretical journal. He developed a model and highlight some very interesting conclusions. The main thing is that he finds a peculiar asymmetric payoff structure from running eponymous firms, in which success may not be increased much by a strong association between owners and firms, whereas failure can be professionally costly to entrepreneurs. This asymmetry comes about because entrepreneurs of eponymous firms cannot disassociate themselves from a poor or defunct business. This asymmetry market consequence result in higher reputational concerns for eponymous eponymous owners, thereby motivating these owners to fulfill their obligations ex ante and curb any possible post-contract opportunistic behavior. So that is the logic or the theory we find for our paper. And maybe you are not familiar with this topic because it's not so popular, it's not so well written. But actually, when we checked, there are lots of important papers regarding naming strategy, especially regarding the eponymy, such as this Strategic Management Journal, American Economic Review, and Journal of Political Economy, Management Science, Review of Accounting Studies. All of these are very high-level journals. They all talking about the name or the eponymy in some ways. So that means this is an interesting and important issues. And we also find some recent papers. Recent papers has verified the potential benefits of eponymous, including first, it will reduce the cost of borrowing, which is in 2023 in RUS, Review of Accounting Studies, a high quality journal. And also two recent papers to say that eponymy firms will have higher quality of financial reporting, and all about others is enhanced product and service quality. And also these two find that the eponymous firms positively correlated with corporate financial performance. So all of these papers suggest that eponymy may be an alternative way to provide or to generating credible commitment, and it's also important for a firm. So based on all the literature and the logic and the theory I have talked about, we come to our hypothesis. Our hypothesis is that the eponymous companies are more likely to enhance corporate green innovation. Why? The first reason is that they have reputation concern. The public's expectations for green sustainability are growing increasingly, making growth development a focal point for all stakeholders. Therefore, a company's green transformation helps to gain the trust and support of various stakeholders, thereby establishing a good social reputation. When major shareholders name the company after themselves, it creates a strong association between the entrepreneur and her firm. By mitigating their reputational assets, they increase the losses incurred by the company's breach of trust on the major shareholders, thereby reducing opportunistic behavior. So in this, I mean that if you have higher reputation concerns, that means you will lose more when you breach of trust. So when the company adopt eponymy, that means the cost of breach of trust increased. So it will be less likely to breach of trust. So that is the logic behind this. We call it reputation concern channel. Next channel or hypothesis is that financial constraints. Lots of studies indicate that financing constraints are a significant factor restricting corporate investment in green innovation. And eponymous firms can create a credible commitment to creditors and therefore pay significantly lower interest on their debts. So That means the eponymous firms will have higher green innovation. So from these two, we have our whole picture here. Because the financial constraints and reputation concerns, these two channels makes eponymous firms pay more attention to green innovation and have higher outcome of green innovation. So that is our main logic and it's our main hypothesis. Next, we come to our research design. Here is a summary of all our variables. And here the PAT and the CIT is our dependent variable, which is green innovations. And eponymous 1 and eponymous 2, these two is our interesting variable, which means that whether the firm adopting eponymous naming strategy or not. And we all have some control variables such as size, age, leverage, return on assets, research and development cost, share, board size, independent directors, nature of the enterprises, and market index. This is the control variables will ended in the regression to control for the effect. And the data here, we're using data from Chinese listed companies from 2007 to 2018, excluding Star ST, ST, and PT companies, as well as those in the financial industries and those with a debt to equity ratio greater than 1. The earliest corporate financial data in China starts from 2007, so we begin from 2007. And the green innovation data is sourced from CNRDS up to 2021. And we just have a look, close look at the main variables here. The first one is PAT. PAT is the logarithm of the number of green patents granted plus 1. Due to a lag of 4 to 5 years in patent grants, following Hall and Jeff, we adjust the method of patent grants. The distribution of grants from 2007 to 2016 is used to adjust the green patent grant data from the last 4 to 5 years. Specifically, we use this formula to adjust the numbers. Okay. So the PAT is generally the quantity of green innovation because we use the number of green patents granted. The other one we used is citation, which is CIT in short. This is the logarithm of the ratio of green patent citation plus 1 using the fixed effect adjustment method proposed by Hall 2001 and Marshall 2021. Specifically, we divided the raw citation count by the average citation count of the same technology category within the same application year. So citation may be a measurement related to green innovation quality because we use the ratio of citation. And all of these are used in our regressions. And all the regressions will be controlled for industry and year effect with clustering at the firm level. Next, we're talking about our interesting variable, which is eponymy. This data is hand collected. We have a 10 to 15 students group with 4 to 5 lectures we work together to hand collect it and to use some okay, so we also use the software, and both hand collected and software we match, and we pick the names which is eponymous and which is not. It's used lots of time to do so. I think we use 3 months to have this database for all the companies, all the listing companies in China. Actually, what we do, firstly, we're using the SISMA database to collect company name data. We first exclude companies without major shareholders and control information, because if we haven't got one, we can't distinguish eponymous or not. Then we remove 3 catalogs of character from the company names. Firstly, geographic, next, legal status, secondly, operational attributes, because all of these are general items. They has less meaning in names. So we just remove it. And we generate 2 measurements of our eponymous interesting variables. First one, eponymous 1. This one is generous as follows. By comparing the number of common Chinese characters between the economy name, the company name, and the major shareholder's name. If the number of common Chinese character is greater than or equal to 2, it indicates that the major shareholder's name is eponymous. Otherwise, it's considered as non-eponymous. So it's a dummy variable. This one is similarly to all the papers I mentioned here. Yeah, all the papers mentioned here, they generate similarly eponymy variables like this. The only difference is that all the paper here is in Western countries such as American, Swiss, Italy, or some other Western countries. So they use just the one word. But in Chinese, we use 2 because at least 2 numbers has some meanings in Chinese, not only one, such as your surname is Li, and there are a lot of Li in China. So Li means nothing. Maybe just the Li and your name means something, just as Li Ning. Okay, so there's difference, the culture difference. But we also generate a second measurement, which called eponymous 2. This one was generated as the natural logarithm of the number of characters that match between the major shareholder's name and the company name plus 1. So this is the number. So for example, if your name is Li Ning and the company name is Li Ning, so that means you have 2 in total. And if some other companies just have 1, we can also include here. So this one can reflect and measure the amount of information about the major shareholder contained in the company name. That means if your whole name is included or only part of your name is included, may be different. So this is a number. So this is number of characteristics. We have these 2 measurements. And here is our distribution, sample distribution. And the panel A shows the annual distribution of eponymous and non-eponymous companies. And we can see that the percentage of eponymous in each year is decreasing from more than 50 in 2007 to 36% in 2018. And this is the same as we observed in previous papers, such like Chen 2023. And this trend is reasonable because as we have already talked before in theory, we say that credible commitment can be generated both in institutional way or self-motivated way. And the reputation may be related to self-motivated, and the regulation may be related to institutional motivated. So that means as the time goes on, when the regulation or the laws or the other of contracts becoming more and more perfect or more and more complete, there will be less and less eponymous needed, because in my other papers we find that eponymous is not free. There is some cost as well. So the company needs to choose to trade off the cost and the benefits. When the law or the regulations is not so complete, such as developing countries, there are weak legal systems. Maybe eponymous may be a better way to provide credible commitment. But as the legal system developed, maybe some companies can use the laws or the contract instead of eponymous. Okay, and the percentage here is relatively high in China compared to the numbers in other countries, but it has some difference, because in Chen's paper, it finds that in UK 17%, and in Germany 34% firms are eponymous, but their sample is just for small and private companies. And in China here, we use all the listing companies. So the sample is different, okay? But the percentage can tell you something, that maybe there are relatively a large percentage of companies choose this naming strategy. And we also have the industry distribution as well. And you find that there's big differences among different industries. For accommodation, there's a very high percentage in eponymous. And for this one, for the research and technology or technical service, the percentage is low. And here is the descriptive statistics of all the variables we used in regression. We find that in China, the patent and the citation, the median value is 0. So that means that lots of companies has no green innovation in China. And we find that the RD, the research and development cost ratio, is just 1.6%. So that means until now in China, less is spent on research. Okay, so this is something we need to know. And before doing the regressing, we have this univariate analysis of group differences. So you can see here, the patent and the citation makes a significant difference for eponymous and non-eponymous companies. Okay, so it gives me some potential to check the relationship between patent or between green innovation and eponymous. But you find that although we find significant difference between these two groups, there are some significant difference in other variables as well, such as size, age, leverage, everything. So we can't say that this differences is because of the eponymy. Maybe the sample differences matters. Okay, so that means that we need to do econometrics analysis. So we use this model to check the causal relationship between eponymous and green innovation. Here, the green innovation, we use two measurements, which is PAT and CIT I mentioned before. And eponymous is also two measurements, eponymous 1 and eponymous 2 I have already mentioned before. And X here is a set of control variables, just as this one, or here we talked about before. And we control for year and industry fixed effect. Okay, and we cluster our standard error at the firm level. So this is our estimation method. Finally, we come to our result. Okay, the table here is the baseline result. You find that whenever you use the quality or the quantity of green innovation, whenever you use the eponymous dummy variable or the number of eponymous, we find that there is significant positive relationship between eponymous and green innovation. So that means the firms with eponymous will have a higher green innovation. So that answers the first questions, how to promote firm green innovation. Maybe from the name, you can distinguish which one is more likely to conduct green innovation, the one with eponymous naming strategy. And we do lots of robustness check to make our results robust. Firstly, we use other measures of green innovation. We employ the natural logarithm of the total number of green patent applications by company I in year T+1, the natural log of the number of adjusted green utility model patents applied for and eventually granted by the company +1. And we also use the natural log of the unadjusted number of patent citations +1, the natural logarithm of the number of adjusted green innovation patents applied for and eventually granted by the company +1. So we use maybe these 4 alternatives to measure green innovation. And then we also use alternative models. Things that you have seen in the descriptive statistics, we find that most companies do not engage in green innovation. And since PAT and CIT are left censored at 0, we use Tobit model. Okay, so the green innovation here was also adjusted to integer counts. So we use Tobit model here. And we find that when we use Tobit model, we still find significant positive relationship between eponymous and our green innovation. Furthermore, we exclude some effect. The first one is the technological lock-in effect. Okay, and Adrian point out that the decision-making process for green technological innovation exhibits path dependence, meaning that companies with more green innovations may engage in more green innovations in the future. So to address this issue of autocorrelation, we include stock here. Okay, the stock is green innovation from the past 3 years in the baseline regression. We follow the literature. Okay, we use the perpetual inventory method with a depreciation rate of 15% to construct the stock of green patent over the 3 years. So even we control for the technological lock-in, the effect has not changed a lot, still significant and positive. Next, we find that lots of the firms has not adopt green innovation. So to avoid our results primarily driven by green innovations in the environmental protection industry, we exclude this kind of industry. So you find that our sample become less, okay, because we include the environmental production industry. We find the effect still there, okay. Next, we consider endogeneity, okay. Although we control for year and industry fixed effect, now we control for more. We control for firm fixed effect, the year trend of provenance, and the year trend of industry. So you find that we have the firm fixed effect here and the province times year fixed effect and industry times year fixed effect here. When we control all of this, we find that we are still here, this relationship. What's more, table 2, if you can remember it, the table 2, if you can't remember, I can just have a quick show here. Table 2 here, the descriptive, the group indifference, the group differences here. The group differences here, table 2, okay? So table 2 shows that significant difference between eponymy and non-eponymy firms, okay? Although we controlled for these control variables in the regression, the model does not adequately account for potential nonlinear effects, okay? So to address this issue, we run our model using a propensity score matched sample here. Okay, so the PSM here, where the matching covariance at industry to the control variables is conducted using 1-to-1 matching without replacement on a yearly basis with a Kepler matching range set at 0.01. Okay, so we find that we are still there. And we also do the we also do the placebo test. You find that when we randomly assign eponymous companies artificially with the specific number matching the actual consequence for a total of 2,000 times, we find that the estimator is just 0 here. So that means our result is robust. Finally, we use standard IV process. Okay, we choose this one. Control length as the instrumental variable. This is the number of characters remaining after removing generic terms such as limited liability company from the control shareholder's name, referred to as control shareholder length, is used an instrumental variable for eponymous 1 and eponymous 2. This is the first stage. We find a significant relations between the IV and our endogenous variables. And after using IV, we find that our relationship still hold. So what is the mechanism? Just as Professor Bo said, we do lots of evidence to show what is the mechanism. Firstly, we use the command and control environmental reputation intensity and the number of provincial local environmental protection regulations here, we have these interaction atoms here. We find that the higher regulation, the higher environmental regulation, that the reputation concerns will be higher. So the effect of eponymous will be higher. So this is an evidence of reputation concern. Similarly, we use the market-based environmental regulation intensity using regional green technology subsidies. This is also evidence of reputation concern, because if you has higher or high intensity of environmental regulation, or the subsidies is higher, you find that the reputation concern is higher and the effect will be higher. So the reputation concern mechanism work. And we also provide more evidence on reputation concern. We use the environmental regulations. So we use the natural logs of the sum of the daily average Baidu search index for 27 public environmental concern keywords. This is the 27 keywords. And we use the interaction atoms here. We also find that when the search index is higher, the reputation concerns is higher, and the effect will be higher. And also we use the external intentions. We use the news here. News is the total happiness of the company in the media. So that means if the company will be paid more attention, so the reputations may be more important for the company, and the eponymous will be much more important on the innovation. And here is the external attention. We use WSVI, Company Online Search Index. That may be the investor attention index. So that means if investors search online much more, so the reputation of the firm concerns is higher. So the effect will be more stronger here. Okay. And next, we provide some evidence on financial constraint mechanism. Refer to Handlock and Pierce. The SA index is used to measure corporate financing constraints. And the calculation is as follows. When we times here, we find that when the financing constraints is high, the effect of eponymous will be higher, because the eponymous can lower the borrowing risk, the borrowing interest, and increase the green innovation. And we also use another measurement of financing constraint, which is credit. Refer to Lu, the ratio of net accounts receivables to total asset is used to measure corporate commercial credit constraints. A higher value of this indicator indicates that the company is more likely to be a supplier of commercial credit, resulting in low dependence on external financing. The sample is divided based on the median of this value, where credit is set to 1 for companies below the median and 0 for companies above the median. And we also find that for companies who has much more financing constraints will suffer the effect more. So we talk about what is the relationship, why we have this relationship, and then we're talking about so what. If the eponymous is good to promote the green innovation, so what? So we check the impact of corporate growth innovation on its value. we use the excess vol, which is excess equity value of the company, to analyze the impact. Okay, so these variables here, we use the market value of equity minus the book value of equity divided by sales. Okay, so here it's a measurement of corporate value. We find that the eponymous can increase a firm's value by increase the green innovation. And we also use the TQ, which is the market value of the company divided by the asset replacement cost, to illustrate the effect on value. We also find that the eponymous can increase the market value of the company by increasing the green innovation. So that means the result is good. So we come to the conclusions. Naming a name after its major shareholder or its founder is a widely adopted yet controversial corporate naming strategy globally. We call it eponymy. By deeply linking their own reputation with the reputation of the eponymous company, major shareholders can establish a credible commitment mechanism to various stakeholders. So our paper utilized sample data from listed companies in China from 2007 to 2018 or 19 because yes, we have the data to 2021, but we have 4 to 5 years lag. Okay, to examine how this major share credible commitment mechanism based on reputation linking through eponymy affects corporate green innovation activities. Our main findings is that compared to non-eponymous companies, eponymous companies have stronger incentives to engage in green technological innovation, with significantly higher quantity and quality of green technology patent. This conclusion holds even after addressing endogeneity bias through instrumental variables method and undergoing a series of robustness checks. And the mechanism analysis indicates that the concerns about the major shareholders' reputation and the elimination of financial constraints are important reasons driving the relationship between eponymy and corporate green innovation. Specifically, the positive effect of eponymy on corporate green innovation is more pronounced in regions with stronger environmental regulations, in companies that receive higher media attention, and in companies facing stronger financing constraints. So I think this study validates the important role of the market mechanism concerning major shareholders' reputation concerns in promoting green transformation among companies in China or in other developing countries. So that's all for today. Thank you for your listening.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I think you made it very clear. Can you maybe close your transparency? And you made it very clear. And I think I'm actually very impressed by your, different sets of empirical analysis and robustness check. So I think that's it sounds very solid, empirical analysis. And you actually, I think this is a really, really interesting topic. As I said that at the beginning, I have not seen the paper on this particular topic. And so the so-called eponymy. So this is interesting. I actually, if I can start with the discussion, so I'm thinking about the underlying theories. So I know you are in the area of corporate finance, the connection between firms, real firms, and the capital market, etc. So you talked about something related to this area, but not that much. So this phenomenon, as far as I can see, is also connected to marketing, for example. So think about if I am a firm, I have an option to name my company based on a founder or a very big famous shareholder. I have an option, but I may decide not to use it. That has a lot of marketing strategy in this type of decision as well. So you mentioned something also related to that. So for example, what about the sales? Maybe sales is connected with the person that people have been knowing for so long for this product. So I want to dig deeper about the underlying theory. So that's my major concern, and I would like to hear more from the audience and see whether we have some other comments or concerns or questions. Maybe
Yes.
you can respond first,
Yeah,
and
I
then
can
see,
respond.
we can lead to more questions.
Yes. Yes, I think the questions is it's important, but we just not consider whether they choose the name because of the marketing strategy or the financing strategy or other kind of strategy. We just want to say whatever purpose you want to take. If you choose a name after the founder or after the owner, that means you have your name linked with the company. So that means if the company fails to do so, your reputation will lose as well. So this linkage will increase the cost of reputation for yourself. So you may be have more incentive to provide credible commitment rather than other names.
Yes, so that's true. But what are the economic theories underneath? So why do I do that? So we are doing academic research. So for example, if you are submitting this paper, I would expect people will ask you the theoretical perspective of this paper. So you mentioned the trust, you mentioned the reputational concerns. So what are the theories? So that's
Okay. Yes.
if you have more.
There's a theoretical paper. They has a model to calculate, to compare the cost and the benefit of the of choosing a name, and it's very I think it's numerical models there. But the basic logic is that when people every economic people make decisions, they must compare the cost and the benefits. Okay, and when they make the naming strategy, it's also you need to compare the benefit and the cost. And the benefits, if you name your company after your name, the benefit has not increased. It's the same for any other firms who hasn't has the eponymy. But the cost difference, we call it asymmetry pays off. You find that when you name your company after your name, your cost increased, but your income or your gains is not changed. So why do you do this costly thing? Is that you want to make the cost higher to generate credible commitment. Because how to generate commitment? There's a logic here that if I increase the cost of if I increase the cost, I will be less likely to break the truth. Is that right? The logic is that. Yeah. Yes, I remember there an example in the paper to say about this. I can check the example here, so we can have more clearly understanding of this logic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So that's fine. So I think what you said makes a lot of sense. So I just need to formalize this,
Yes.
rationale a little bit more. And I didn't see any hands. So let me continue with my second question. And that is, I think, according to what you are arguing here, it is the personal reputation. It is my reputation if I see some firms that they used my name, so I care more about, I try to avoid any losses because of this. So my reputational concern. And you did a lot of different tests that you say this is the evidence that is supportive of the reputational concern. So if that is the case, so in your empirical model, you have that proxy for eponymy. So for eponymy, you have two proxies, and you controlled some firm level variables, and in your robustness test, you used some basically even aggregate levels. So for example, regional level or external or media, etc., etc. But what I was thinking, if reputational concern is the major mechanisms or channel, then I think the person who allows the firm to use that name and that person's traits or that person's historical records also matters a lot, right? Because yes, what you say is okay. I care about, but if I'm a bad person, so so whether or not I can sustain my reputation depends on that person's historical record, that person's so the traits, and so etc. etc. So I wonder whether you have considered this type of variables in your empirical models. So for example, if we examine CEO's past experience, we should control other CEO's traits. Yeah. So in this case, you focused on the person's name, but you did not have any control of that person's characteristics, for example, or whatever that information. So how do you think about that?
Yes, I totally agree that we control for some firm level information and some board, some and maybe the shareholder information. But for the history of a person, maybe whether you break the laws or something else, need to collect more data. Sometimes it's not available. But we try to do this by ending maybe the name, such as, for example, if your name is widely used, so that may be less concerns about the reputation because it's just a name like Mike, like Lily, everybody use it. But if your name is randomly used, so it has highly recognizable, so maybe your concerns will be high. So this may be different to recognize or to provide evidence on reputation concern based on names. But yeah, sometimes how frequently the name is used and how to define which name is rare and which name is common, and we need more techniques. So we just working on that. But we will end that in the maybe future version to add some specific characteristic related to names to the board or to the owner, to the founder as well. So that needs more data to come. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So for example, it's just like a Toyota. So you know that person and you know you can, I'm not all, but for some of those famous people, you can check their history, you know, their websites or their CVs, etc. But I agree that requires a lot of work. But I think the logic is there that you need to control at least that person's some character or traits or characteristics. So let's open the floor to my colleagues. Yeah. No more? So Wei, can you turn on your camera if possible?
Yes.
So because I want to, if there is no more questions, so maybe we can close the session. Are there any questions, guys? No?
Yeah, because it's a very small topic. Not everybody, maybe have ever read or talk about this topic.
It's not small topic, it's interesting topic, but I think yes. So, but I would say it is corporate finance thing. So, it's just the governance thing, and it just you need to probably, I think, theoretical and the theory. So I see really so the theoretic and the underlying theories. So maybe you can think about a symmetric information problem. You can think about you mentioned something opportunistic behavior. Whose opportunistic behavior here? So agency things, signaling. So signaling theories. So those are all relevant. So you can make more connection probably between those theories and what you are doing. So I actually see Riri's hands. Hi, Wina. Hi. Do you have a question? Yeah. So
hello.
now hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, thank you.
By the way, Riri is my PhD student, and she has submitted already. So she's now waiting for the final confirmation. So Wina, please.
Hello. Thank you for sharing your paper, and it is really interesting. And I have one question, please. I saw that you mentioned the Baidu index. I'm really interested in this part because I always want to collect data on like Baidu, Weibo, some websites or Bilibili. However, they always be recognized as the data source that is not like authorized data source. So I'm very confused about it, and I'm really interested in this part. And could you please tell me when can we like use the data from Baidu and Weibo, and when we can use data from like SISMA, and I'm really confused about it. So thank you for your explanation.
Okay, thank you for your questions. Actually, the SISMA database is a paid by our school, so it's not for free. So if you pay the fees, you can got several sub data sets, so you can have the information. And as you mentioned, Baidu index maybe not. So that means sometimes the journal may say that Baidu index is not professional, it's not something like this. But we do not use only Baidu index. We can use lots of similar index, such as what we did in the paper. We use Baidu index. We use the all the other search index and the environmental regulation intensity, all the other measurement. I think when you use lots of measurement to say one thing, and from each measurement, it generates the same result, that means it doesn't matter the measurement. So that means the measurement, it doesn't matter. The result is robust. That is the way what we do, because we can't generate much more higher quality data by ourselves. So we use what we can obtain from the data set. And I think that in several Chinese data sets, you can get the Baidu index, you can download, but maybe not, if you not buy the data set, maybe you cannot obtain. Okay, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. That is really clear. And thank you, Professor Bo. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lena.
Thank you.
Yeah, I actually, I'm very excited because I look forward to seeing you very soon, and in November. So, great. Very good. So I need more questions. We are a little bit quieter than normal seminars, but that's fine. So, but thanks, Wei, for your preparation, for your very detailed explanation for your paper. And I did find the topic is very interesting. So I hope, you got some, well, not so many, but I hope the comments are useful. And let's continue the discussion maybe offline.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for colleagues, colleagues from other places as well. And thanks for your time. I now close this session and have a good day still. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.